Courtney, and welcome Virtuoso Adventure Advisors 2018. How exciting. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Helen Nodland, and like you, I love adventure travel, period. I love it. So how perfect to start our year off by speaking with one of our most successful adventure advisors, and that's Martha Rhodes. Now, before I introduce her formally and we start talking with her, I so enjoy this mastery series because it brings it all down to the very practical and the work that it takes to go from good to great. So I want to take just a moment to talk a bit about mastery. In our very goal-oriented world, and we are very goal-oriented, mastery very often looks, acts, and feels like the great final achievement, the big Yahoo, the I did it, I've won the race, I beat the opponent, I've achieved my goals, I've sold adventure all day long. And there is that marvelous moment of achievement, of success. But it's actually more subtle than that. Mastery is the mysterious process during which what is at first difficult becomes progressively easier and more pleasurable through practice. Let me read that. Let me say that again, okay? This is from a wonderful little book on mastery. It's this mysterious process during which what is at first difficult becomes progressively easier and more pleasurable through practice. So although it has peak moments of achievement, mastery is really the ongoing journey that begins with baby steps. And then you reach a plateau of learning, and then you practice and practice and practice at that plateau. And then you climb a little higher, followed by more learning and more practice. And if only it was a quick fix, a master stroke, as it were, to mastery. But it's not. It's not. It takes long hours. It takes hard work. It takes determination. It takes conviction. And it takes a failure and falling along the way, but getting back up again. And that is the story of our adventure travel masters as well. This is our fourth year, I believe, of this series. And so it is with great pleasure that I introduce you to Martha Rhodes. Now, Martha is an IC with Brownell out of Birmingham, Alabama, but whose company, Travel with Martha, is in Richmond, Virginia. Now, Martha has over 50 reviews on Virtuoso.com, has a 100% satisfaction rating, which is a very big deal. And as I was reading those reviews, one of the underlying themes was about how easy Martha makes the planning process. So, and speaking of it as one of her clients actually referred to it as a planning process. So whether it's Patagonia or Iceland or Africa or Spain or yachting, things like helping out behind the scenes when a client broke a bone along the way. I think that was in Iceland. But by the end of the third quarter last year, Martha had over $500,000 in adventure travel sales, or vast as it was then. And that's only her adventure sales, because she sells a whole lot of non-adventure travel too. So it was a good year, but Martha is consistently in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands in adventure sales. And we want to know, how do you do that? So first off, Martha, it's a pleasure having you with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you.
Yeah, and you're joining us from Richmond, is that right?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. Good. Well, up on the screen, I'm not sure Martha may not have her visuals.
Oh, I'm looking at myself with no makeup on in Rwanda. There I am.
Perfect. I love it. It's a great photo, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, there was a picture earlier with you with makeup on, but we adventurers, we're fine not to have makeup, so that's okay.
That's right. We have to get used to how we look.
That's right. So I want to start our conversation off today with a really great story that you told me. You were sailing with Lindblad Expeditions, maybe on a familiarization or had the opportunity to travel with them, getting to know, how they explore a place. And you met a guest by chance while on board. Tell us what happened based on that chance encounter of you being out there and having a conversation. What happened?
Yes, so this young boy who was taking a lot of pictures and seemed very precocious turned out to be someone who had a plan in the near future to travel for a year. And
oh, wow.
I made lots of friends on board that week. It was a nice group of families over their summer holiday, and always taking the opportunity to make sure people are aware of what I do and why I was there. And so they contacted me later afterwards and asked if I would help them plan a year of wildlife and conservation travel and study while this young man took a year off from school between middle school and high school, which is very unusual, sort of an odd gap year. But that's what they wanted to do, and they called me and asked me to help them with it. And it's been quite an adventure in and of itself.
Wow. So where were some of the places that he has chosen to travel to?
Oh, everywhere, all over the world. So far, in the summertime, we did the Arctic region. So we did some bear viewing in Alaska, Iceland, polar bears in Canada. Then they went to Japan and Asia and India. Now they are in South America doing Patagonia and Antarctica cruise, and then some more of Patagonia and the Falkland Islands, and it keeps going from there. Through to 6-week safari is the end of the trip, and that's coming up this summer.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, my gosh. What an incredible chance encounter. A chance that you made happen, I might say, in getting to know people and not just sort of staying off by yourself. But I know you have a really, really keen interest in family travel and adventurous family travel as well. It's one of your specialties, am I right?
Well, it's a specialty that I wanted to have when I started this business, and so I've made an effort to build it, yes. It's something I just naturally enjoy doing with my own family, so
yeah,
it's a good fit.
Yeah. So how did you get started in all of this? Even, what actually brought you to travel? What happened in your life personally that actually kind of moved you towards this kind of business?
Well, it's just part of my DNA that I was a born adventurer and always wanted to have great experiences around the world and never really had the opportunity to do it. I didn't travel in high school. I didn't travel in college. I traveled a little bit with my family domestically for a while, and I was a banker after college, and then 10 years of momming and volunteering. And then when I was looking for something, I was looking for a decent part-time job after my boys were gotten a little older. And my dream job was to be a travel agent. And I, said something to somebody about, well, my dream job is to be a travel agent and plan trips. That was what I always loved doing in my free time, reading magazines and all. And I said, but that's not really a professional job for somebody with a professional background. They're not travel agents really anymore. And somebody did say that I was wrong about that, and they knew somebody that was very successful as kind of a high-end travel advisor, and I might want to check that out after all. So I did, and here I am.
And here you are. So did you start off with Brownell?
I did. The person in my town that was doing it had done the mentoring program at Brownell, and so I just went right to her, and she said, if you can get in the Brownell mentoring program, I can't think of anything better than that. Don't waste your time trying to find it. And so that's what I did. Yep. So that was 2011. I did the mentoring program at Brownell.
Yeah. That's a year-long program. Is that right?
It is.
Or is it actually longer than that? Yeah. A year-long program.
It's a year.
Well, that's a pretty big switch to go from banker and mom and have this professional idea, about, your life. And then suddenly you're looking to get, an entirely new identity. You're no longer a banker. You don't want to be known as a mom in your new profession. How did you do it? What were some of the first steps that you took as a brand new advisor, just kind of out of this mentoring program? What are some of the things that you had to do, or that you took on that started laying the groundwork?
Well, I'll tell you, through my banking career, I learned how what high-level client service looks like, what people in top positions at other organizations, expect, and how to interact with people, like in that setting in life. And then as a volunteer and mom, I had so many community connections in school and church. So I had that nice network, and I had a undergraduate business degree. So I had some marketing and accounting and that strategic planning background. So that Brownell mentoring year is pretty much the year that you start and launch your business. And part of that program is coming up with a strategic plan, building your website, figuring out what your brand is going to be, what's your specialty, what makes you qualified to do this. And you start putting all that together and connecting with as many people as you can, because you start at zero and your sales are 100% generated by your own efforts. They give you really great industry knowledge, but you're on your own to build the business and find the clients.
Yeah. So you really had to dig deep yes, you had life experience, you had professional experience in your previous roles, and even volunteer experience. There's sort of a, there's a maybe a bit of a format, or you had people there that you could join. This you really had to dig deep and figure out what you were all about and why.
Yes. And so, you have to make a case to Brownell in the way that I joined the business. You have to make the case to them that you're going to be successful, and here's how you're going to do it. And they're looking for people that have the skill set to start their own business and also have the ability to network these types of clients that we rely on. Yeah.
Well, bravo. But so some of what you did, though, was also you reached out into that sphere of influence that you have, that were personal friends and professional friends and people who had known you in other ways. What were some of the things that that you had to maybe kind of reassure them about as you take on this new role? They know you're a rookie. They know you're new at this. They may like you and know you, but you're still new at this. So what are some of the things that you kind of noticed that you've had to deal with or overcome?
And this destination knowledge has been, to me, the most challenging component of this, because if you come into it with decent organizational skills and decent business skills, that's such a big part of the job. But knowing about places was something that I needed a lot more research and resource into. So I've had to travel a lot. So I feel like there was a big investment of my business was doing some of these trips and traveling. So that was a big piece of it. It's really hard to plan to a place that you haven't been to, especially some of the adventure destinations where so much of it is logistics and having an appreciation of what makes a trip go well and what can really wreck it.
Right. So did you approach that strategically? Did you kind of look at the world and go, okay, I say I'm about adventure. Where do I need to get to?
That's exactly what I did, because I realized I had opportunities to travel just about anywhere. And so if my focus was going to be on luxury family travel, what I refer to as the iconic family journeys, the places that high-end American families want to take their children while they're growing up, and they tend to be some of the same adventure destinations, the Galapagos,
Right.
Alaska, Europe, the Caribbean, American West, Machu Picchu, these places that I had to select those destinations when I was going to choose where I was going to travel to. It might not necessarily be the trip that came out that was free, or the trip that fit my schedule, but I had to save room in my travel resource for the things that I really needed to know about for what my specialty was going to be.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point to make for people who are new or are new to this side of the business. Just like if you specialize in cruises or you specialize in hotels, there's some places and some hotels that you need to get to in order to have a vocabulary. I think
it helped to have that focus, because there's so many opportunities to travel. And if you're doing this, you love to travel. And so you just want to do it all, and you can't. So I think that was an important thing that I did, was only choosing those things that were really going to be helpful in my long-term education for the focus that I wanted to have.
Well, that's interesting, also in talking about, that you had a focus as you started your business, as you really rolled it out, during this, that first year, really digging in and thinking about these things. When it comes to communicating, even as a new advisor, as a new, just hung out the shingle, travel with Martha, what are some of the things that you learned that were important for you to actually communicate and not communicate? In other words, how did you kind of sidestep the stuff that wasn't in your, wasn't in that sort of strategic plan, that wasn't part of where you wanted your business to go?
So sometimes people do call you for things that you realize are not where you want to spend your time, or would it be wise to spend your time. And sometimes people think you're Rick Steves and you're going to help them get to Europe for a week on $5,000 or less. So I did make a point to come up with some words to use that I could go back to on a regular basis to communicate that and feel comfortable about it, because it's such an awkward thing to have to do. But I was able in some circumstances to tell people that if you want to do a trip as cheaply as possible, then you need to plan it yourself, because you're the one putting the time into it. Otherwise, you have a professional's time that's involved. Sometimes I would have to tell people that I didn't really know 3-star hotels. They're 3-star for a reason. There's something about them that makes them less expensive, and takes a lot of research and homework to figure out what is that thing about them. And maybe it's okay with you, but maybe it's not. And I just don't know that segment of the market very well. So I'm not going to be a good fit for making a trip like that come together for you. So those are some examples.
And yeah, exactly. And that has helped you shape from the beginning kind of where you were headed. It helped to keep you on the road to what your real goal was, which were these, iconic family vacations that, like you say, so many of them fall into the adventure arena. But literally saying, I don't think I'm the right person for you.
Yeah, and that's really hard, because when you're first starting out and you have sales goals and you're just so happy, you'll take just about anything.
Right.
But then the moment that you do somebody's inexpensive spring break trip, then they tell all their neighbors what a great job Martha did planning their inexpensive spring break trip, and you start getting phone calls for more of those. The light bulb went off. The more that you do, what you tend to attract what you do. So be careful what you choose to do.
Yeah,
and that's easier to do once you've had a few sales.
Yeah, well, that's true too. That's true too. But there is something about being careful about I call it the companies that you keep. That you're working in the in the area and at the level that that you aspire to. And if you speak that language and have the ability and the willingness to go, not positive I'm the right fit, or I can help you with this, but I'm not really going to be able to add a whole lot because that really isn't my area of expertise. So managing those words, pretty interesting as well. From the get-go, tell me a little bit more about kind of along this vein of how it is that you manage the and from the beginning, kind of managing the clients that are going to be part of your portfolio. So what do you do, and what did you do at the beginning even when it came to professional consulting fees? I know a lot of times when people are new, it's like, oh man, I'm really not very valuable. I'm not sure I'm worth it, anything, at this point. What did you do, and what do you do, along those lines?
At the very beginning, I can vaguely remember waiving some planning fees for people.
Yeah.
There were times when I said, I'm not 100% sure I can pull together what you're looking for. So why don't we do this? Why don't you give me a chance to come back to you with a proposal and a price, and you take a look at it, and there will be a fee if you like it, but if I can't do what you think you want, then we won't charge a fee. So there were times when I was willing to do a little upfront work to give somebody comfort in my skills before they were obligated to pay a fee. But I definitely do charge a fee now upfront, almost 99% of the time, and it really helps in establishing the relationship with the client and getting in the types of clients that value some professional expertise in their travel planning.
Yeah, well, and that's the key, because value is this. I have these goods and services, and people can decide whether they want those goods and services from you or not. But it is that sort of value agreement that has to take place. And perhaps also, your banking background, your professional background has, it's like, hey, you know what? You have to pay to get professional assistance. It's just how it is. Do you have differing, different commissions for different kinds of things? Do you have, or not commissions, but different fees for different kinds of things? Do you have where people can do it a la carte, or it's a one price, or is it just the planning fee? Do you have different choices for people?
No, I keep it very simple. I have the upfront planning fee, and I'm very transparent with my clients about how travel advisors make money. That retail products all carry commission for travel agents, so that's how we get paid. And then if there's a custom travel that's planned for them, what we call a FIT, I let them know that I'm going to be adding 15% or, whatever I decide is right for that, but let's say it's around 15%, is going to be my fee that's worked into the price. And so they know that's, and I said, you know what, I could just tell you what the price is and put money in there and you'd never know, but I prefer to be upfront and transparent about our income. So my theory with that is, I don't think it helps us for people to think we work for free. It makes us not be very valuable. I think there's a rule that price equals quality. And so something free probably in someone's mind maybe isn't very good. So I think it works to our benefit to let people know that we do make money and we do make decent money and we're very good. And if you want someone that's very good, you have to pay for them, just like a lawyer or financial advisor or a builder. So or a decorator.
Exactly. Or a decorator. Absolutely. Yeah. And some get paid more than others, and people have different prices, but here's what your prices are, and love to have you, but if it doesn't work for you, that's okay too. So one of the things that you did as well that I think is something that I see consistently among the adventure masters, and that is that very early on, you started to employ someone who could assist you in bringing in more business, an administrative assistant, or I'm not sure what you call that person. Tell me a little bit about why you did that and when you did it in the course of your business.
Yeah, so I was presented with the opportunity to hire somebody that was looking for a job that was just perfect, maybe a few months earlier than I might have, but thank goodness, because it was the best thing I ever did. And again, it was an investment in growing the business. So I had someone available to run the business when I was away. That was my number one need. I realized that you can't be a top level professional for the kind of clients that I had some of, not as many as I have now, but a couple of people, CEOs of corporations, that want to get an email back that you're, off in Peru and you'll get back to them in 2 weeks when you return to the office. I don't, that's just not how I wanted to run my business. So having somebody that was available to my clients during business hours, standard business hours was key. And that having someone that can do the admin and sales support and organization work while you're busy focusing on sales and growing the business, that made a big difference as well. And then I happened to hire somebody who, had some nice contacts and was able to bring in some nice clients, and she was incented to do that. So she was hired to be an assistant, but she was also part of helping me grow the business. So there's some ownership in it for her as well. And that's been a good investment also.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Because I think you bring up something that's really, really, really important. And that is that, if you want to be a top professional in our business and you want to make some money in this, you've got to free yourself up to do what you do best, which is sell, just bringing in those clients and also having the time to, one of the things around destinations and getting to places so that you are, it's all fresh information that you have as well. How do you use your network? Certainly within Brownell, you have people around. How do you use your network both there and beyond to support the work that you do, people that you've met along the way and so on?
So my network through Brownell is the industry network. All of our vendors around the world and our partners around the world. And my connection to them through Brownell is extremely valuable. I could not have done this without that. Sometimes I'll say I started at the top. So that's nice because, and Virtuoso is the same. When you have someone that comes to you that wants to do a very big something or other, you've got direct access to the top people around the world through Virtuoso to do just that. So you're not really starting at the bottom building those networks. And then my personal networks, I started off by mailing a letter to everyone that I knew through all of my connections, even going back to my first job out of college, what I was doing with my business. And then periodically I have followed up with actually typed, printed, mailed letters to certain clients, thanking them for their business, asking for referrals. I always do a welcome home personal note to all of my clients. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you had a great trip. We welcome your feedback. So I think just about every single traveler that goes on a trip, I talk to or hear from via email when they return. I think that's really important to follow up there and make that connection with them and share in the excitement and get the feedback from them. It may be something
because you can
well.
Exactly, you can learn a ton from something that didn't go perfect, or it wasn't up to what they expected, and it was something else. And you learn so much about maybe that partner, but you also learn a lot about the client, and you're able to keep honing in on what makes this guy, this family, what makes this particular family tick. So you can do it better next time.
And then having a structure in place in your office to save those notes and be able to refer back to them is important.
How do you do that? Yeah, how do you keep all that information?
We keep notes in CB Plus on all of our clients, and then I also use a project management tool called Basecamp, and we keep notes on all of our best clients in Basecamp also, and their birthdays and anniversaries, and kind of reminders to follow up with them on a regular basis.
Got it. Yeah. What are some of the things that you do on the marketing side of things? How do you, I mean, you'd mentioned that you reach out with a private welcome home and, you know, occasionally, a real live letter with a stamp on it, you know, things like that. What are some of the other things that you actually are part of your marketing?
I started to use MailChimp email newsletters. I can't brag about my consistency with that at all. It kind of comes and goes, but I find that that's a nice tool to have for connecting with clients and sending them ideas and telling them where you've been and where you're going and encouraging them to go ahead and get started on spring break or holiday travel or what have you. I think Facebook is incredibly valuable. You can't always quantify it. I have a Facebook page for Travel with Martha. And so when I'm traveling, I'll do a little post from the day and photos, and I'll put it on the Travel with Martha business page, but then I'll share it on my personal page. And so I think a lot of people see a lot of stuff on Facebook that you don't always know, because when I go out to a cocktail party or the grocery store or something, and people will say, "Oh, I loved all your pictures from France." And I'm like, "You saw all of that?" I'm like, yeah, a lot of people see it. So I'm a big believer in Facebook. I do a little Instagram. I'm not sure I know as much about that and its effectiveness, but I do really believe in Facebook.
Cool. And then
and then I've done some client events. So
tell us about that.
I did a really nice event through a financial advisory firm that I knew. We have some safari guides in town, and why don't you all, and they invited their clients to come here, one of Africa's top wildlife guides, and hear about what safari would be like. And it just so happened there was a client there that was getting ready to plan a safari for their family of 20. So that was a kind of a nice connection. But I think you have to cast a wide net and put yourself in the right place at the right time, at the right place, or potential places. Find the potential places and put yourself there, and something will happen.
Yeah. And being able to communicate what it is that you do is, you get some of those like, really, I didn't know you guys still existed. Oh yeah, let me tell you.
Oh, that's the biggest learning curve, is to communicate to people that. People do what you do, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, all the benefits of doing that. Well, I'm watching the time here because I want to make sure that we have time for a couple of questions here. What if you were to give some kind of specific advice to some of those who are on the call today? We got a lot of people on the call today here about building their adventure business. Let's assume that we've got, a lot of people who are brand new to this adventure community in 2018, or some that need to kind of renew themselves. What's some specific advice that you would pass along to them?
I would say to get out there and do it yourself, and be very passionate about it, and talk about it wherever you are and whenever you can. Putting that kind of energy out I believe, comes back to you. I think coming up with some sort of plan on paper. I hate to say have a strategic plan, because it's kind of scary, these things called strategic plans. I think it's simply putting down on paper what you think you could get done that would help grow your business. Just make a list of, boy, this would be great if I could do this, and go back and look at it every now and then. It can be as simple as that, but there's setting those intentions seems to really help make a difference. For me, it has. And it hasn't been anything that's, I haven't hired any advisor. It hasn't been a big process. It's just been me out of my brain. What could I be doing that would really help grow the business, and just putting it down and hoping it sticks.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, without intention, nothing happens. Then we bump into things, and that's, that might be lucky, but that won't get us all the way to the mastery that we're looking for, where we're constantly, you need to course correct along the way. Absolutely. But you got to know where you're going. Do you look at, reports on a monthly basis or weekly basis and kind of see where you are in the course of a year?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
We get monthly
You're a banker.
reports to the agency. Yeah, I'm a banker. I'm a numbers girl, but
Yep.
We get weekly sales reports and monthly sales reports, and you bet I'm looking at those intensely every time, just kind of feel good about where things are going, or get an idea of, oh shoot, what I'm a little disappointed, but it'll be all right.
Yeah. And well, then you can analyze, like, well, what happened? Was it just cash flow that this month was down, or this week was down, or if I don't have enough in the pipeline? What's going on? Yeah. So good. Yeah. Having the numbers in front of you makes a big difference. Let me ask you a couple more quick questions here, and then we're going to see if we've got any questions from our audience.
Okay.
Favorite place that you've been?
Oh, anywhere in Africa.
Anywhere. Where all in Africa have you traveled?
Oh, let's see. I did the gorilla trekking in Rwanda. You guys saw a picture of that. That was just unbelievable lifetime experience. And I've been to East Africa, Kenya, and Tanzania, and all the main countries of Southern Africa. But I especially like Botswana. That was very nice.
Yeah.
But I went in October last year, and it's the hottest I've ever been in my entire life. So don't ever send anyone to Central Africa in October. But other than that, I love Africa.
Yeah. Other than that, great. And what's on your bucket list?
Oh, I'm going to Australia in June, and so I'm going to check that off my bucket list. And I'm very excited because I've never been past Hawaii in that direction.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of world out there.
Yep. And then Antarctica, I would really like to do. And unbelievably, I have not ever been to Alaska, and I plan so much Alaska travel. It's embarrassing. So I need to get that.
Oh, my gosh.
Somehow.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you got to get that one in there for sure. Well, we got a lot of wonderful adventure partners that can get you to Alaska and show you from this side to that side.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Send them my way, please.
Well, let's thank you, Martha. Thank you so much. There's a ton of things that we've covered here today. But Courtney, let me ask you, are there any questions for Martha that have been typed in?
We do have a few. Let's see here. But just remember, everybody, if you do have one, remember you can type that into the question box, and we do have some time here. So there's someone saying, were you on a FAM with Lindblad?
I was on a trip that Lindblad provided to Brownell for the Brownell annual meeting, and so it was kind of a random drawing out of a hat. But yeah, it was educationally sponsored.
There's someone here
Lucky
wondering,
you.
How do you determine an appropriate fee? And someone else similarly is wondering, can you share your planning fee, I guess?
Yes, my planning fee is $350. Sometimes I'll do a little less if it's just for, say, a weekend hotel booking and a rental car or something like that. Or I won't charge a planning fee if someone comes to me and says, I want to do this Silver Sea cruise on this date. Would you, help me organize it? Sure. But anytime I'm going to be doing any upfront research to pull a trip together, then I do charge that kind of fee. And then on the FITs, I'll generally charge 15% on top of the cost of a tour.
Right. So essentially a net plus 15.
Yes, plus credit card fees.
Yeah. plus yeah, and other kinds of fees, yeah, that are out there. So I know that you guys have a pretty, or at least on the Brownell side, you have a pretty complete list of here are the fees, whether it's postage fees or communication fees, a variety of different things. So people really understand that all of these things have a value. They have a cost to doing these things. So that's very important to have that up front, I think. Yeah.
Are you able to share also, Martha, what percentage of your business is from new clients and how much is repeat business?
I do not have that number. I got a lot of new clients last year. I'm going to guess that it's 75% repeat and 25% new.
Okay.
That would be a good guess.
Mm-hmm. And you're in your 9th year now as well.
8th year. Yeah, I did my year of starting the business was 2011. So this is my 8th
2011. Got it. Yeah, got it.
Do you do adventures for couples or singles, or is this just for families?
Oh, I'll do adventures for anybody. Yes, I do have many clients that are just couples.
Okay, so you've been in the business for 9 years, so that's about how long it took you to build your book of business. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, but it's grown every year. So I had a pretty decent business, I think, after 2 or 3 years, but it's just grown every year since that.
Let's see. There's someone wondering if you're able to share your first full year's revenue.
Oh, no, I can't, and not because I don't want to, but I can't remember. I honestly can't remember what that was. Maybe somewhere between 500,000. I'm really just guessing out of thin air. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was in the hundreds of thousands though. It wasn't like 75,000.
I don't think so.
A few hundred. Yeah, it was a few hundred thousand. Anyway.
That has really caught me off guard, and I'm not answering that question very well at all, and I'm really sorry. It's been too long.
Another question here. What one piece of advice do you have for someone looking to make the leap from the professional to travel independent contractor advisor world? And there's someone wondering if you try to do both or make the leap.
Can you clarify that a little bit? I'm not sure I understand the question.
There's someone looking to make the leap from the professional to, from a professional to an independent contractor advisor world. And they're wondering if you would say try to do both or make the leap. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Continue working. Leap. Yeah.
Right. I think you have to make the leap because the hours that are involved in getting a business like this up and running and getting your clients and booking travel and learning the travel industry, it's intense. That first year is very long hours, and I sort of laugh about the times I'd be in bed in my pajamas with my laptop doing webinars and trainings, and it just seemed like all I did in my free time was soak up travel. So I think you just have to go full in. But it's tricky because it's hard to support yourself for a couple of years until you do build the business. So it's important to have real focus on where your clients are coming from and have real clarity on that. How are you going to get clients? And then have some appreciation for the fact that, you're going to have some other source of income, a spouse or something else to help pay the bills for the first couple of years. Because I don't think it's realistic that you're going to replace your income from a profession right away.
There's someone else wondering regarding Facebook. Do you advertise Facebook ads? And if not, how do you plan to promote on Facebook now that they've changed their algorithm to restrict organic growth for businesses?
Yeah, I was reading that too. I will boost posts. So I don't know if that's the same as advertising on Facebook, but when I put a post out of something that I think is really interesting or might get some awareness to my business, and I can target it a little bit, I will do that. And it's not a lot of money. Every now and then I go, well, that would be a good post. So, okay, I'll, $25 and I'll, do something like that. It's just absolutely not a lot of thought to it or planning at all. But I hope it works. Maybe it does. It seems like it. And I guess we're going to have to be doing even more of that and under this new algorithm. But it's interesting. I'll be curious how it goes with when you share it to your personal page. And if people start commenting on it, apparently that's part of the algorithm that you'll get, it'll go into more news feeds the more active it is. So I think we're going to maybe be thinking about trying to get more engagement in our posts and not just eyes.
Interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
Were most
Good.
of your first clients friends or friends of friends?
Yes. All of my first clients were people that knew me already, because that's the only way that's the only people I thought would call me. So that's where I started. And then I got referrals, friends of friends, definitely. And then I've gotten a few good clients through the internet, not a lot, but it's been all started from people that already knew me, and then referrals built off of that.
Yeah. Was it tricky with friends? Did they kind of cut you some slack a little bit, or
no?
Even things they didn't, huh? No slack.
No, I remember. I can tell you, I'm not. You think you're going way out of your way for your friends, and you're doing something really great for them, but don't expect that they're going to see that and be super appreciative. Sometimes they're your most demanding and unappreciative clients. And I don't know why that is, but it just takes you to I've had the times where I just take a deep breath and be a big girl. Don't take it personally, and, just move on. So it's working with your friends. You have to be thoughtful about not letting it mar or get in the way of the friendship. I've always said the friendship comes first, and if the business doesn't work out, then it's the friendship that sticks around.
Yeah.
Similarly, there's someone wondering if you found it difficult to work for family. I assume that's probably the same, right?
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, some family members, yes, and some no. That's another webinar.
That should be a whole separate webinar. Working for family or not. Yeah.
There's someone here wondering, what was your biggest mistake?
Oh, gosh. Well, actual mistake was forgetting to change someone's airline ticket and having to write a big check, because I was a firm believer in if I messed up something, I'm going to fix it. I want my clients to have that confidence that I stand behind everything. So that was that mistake. And then if I made any other sort of tactical mistakes, I can't think of anything right now, but I am sure that there are several.
But the key is to own up to it and make it right.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
I always do that. I'm never afraid to say, you know what, we screwed up, or we made a mistake, or we forgot to book that, or we're going to fix it. We're going to make the best of it, or, we'll stand behind it, or send somebody a refund, or whatever we need to do.
Someone else here is wondering, how did you tap into the Virtuoso client referral channel to get more clients?
I don't get a lot of direct referrals to the Virtuoso referral network. I tried that. I don't know. I can't remember why. It wasn't something that I felt was working very well. Sometimes, I think it was in the infancy. I'm sure it's gotten a lot better, for sure. But I think sometimes referrals through the internet are not always as good as the ones you get from your existing clients. But I have recently got a really great new client that just found me on virtuoso.com, liked what she read, and contacted me directly.
There you go. So they may take a little more vetting. Maybe aren't as many of them, but wherever you can pull them in, that's the key.
Yeah, the best, the best new client is a referral from an existing client, and I think the Virtuoso website really has a lot of opportunity for people to find you for sure.
Yeah, there's some really, really good stories about some of the things that have happened. Hey, Martha, I'm going to turn you loose. We're going to bring this to a close. We've had a wonderful conversation. We've had a big turnout here on this call as well. So I want to thank, first off, thank you, Martha, for taking the time and being so forthright and transparent with all the things that have happened to you over the years and how you've built such a successful business. Congratulations to you, and thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It was an honor to be here.
Well, absolutely. Our Adventure Master, our first one under the title of Adventure Master, by the way, with our new branding here. And I want to thank everyone who joined us today on the call. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope that you've gotten an idea or two, maybe a little more courage, a little more confidence that it's out there and available for you as well to take those incremental steps, take those steps towards mastery, and see the results. So thank you very much. Martha, thank you. And to all of you,
you're welcome.
Have a great Tuesday.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.